Good morning, everyone. Welcome to AXA Climate's webinar dedicated to the topic of parametric insurance for the agricultural sector. Before I introduce you to our today's speakers, I would like to inform you that due to the technical setup of our webinar, we are not able to hear you. However, please be assured that we are listening. On the right side or on the bottom of your screen, you will see a box where you are able to ask your questions for our panel that will be addressed at the end of our webinar in a panel discussion and Q&A part. My name is Nadia Arsentiva and I work on the marketing and communication side at AXA Climate. I will be the moderator of today's webinar. Today I am joined by Fabien Bercieux, who is a senior business developer at AXA Climate and who specializes in the agricultural sector. Welcome.
Good morning.
As well as Boris Roth, who is a data scientist and a senior underwriter of climate risks.
Hello.
Welcome as well. Before we start, I would like to quickly run through our today's agenda. Boris will give us an input on agricultural risk in the face of climate change and how it is evolving. Jointly, we will discuss parametric solutions for the agricultural sector, as well as case studies and benefits of parametric solutions. At the end, we will also give you a questionnaire for those who would like to receive a first quotation from us. And as I mentioned before, we will have a Q&A session at the end. Just a quick reminder for those who are not familiar with our entity, AXA Climate is the AXA Group's entity that is dedicated to climate risks. We have been specializing in parametric insurance since our launch in 2014. We are an MGA and we underwrite parametric insurance on behalf of AXA XL. We are a team of more than 50 employees from diversified backgrounds such as meteorologists, data scientists, underwriters, agronomists, and more. We have 4 office locations: Paris, London, Shanghai, and Singapore. We are mainly based, the majority of our team is in Paris. We also have more than 20 local representatives through AXA XL in different countries all over the world, such as Germany, Belgium, Spain, Australia, and more. Today we will have a primary focus on the agricultural sector. We will discuss drought, excess rainfall, frost, and hail perils that pose a question for the agricultural sector. But I would like to quickly run through different application areas of parametric solutions, such as, for example, for the energy sector, we protect against weather-related perils such as mild or severe winter, lack of wind, lack of solar radiation. Construction companies may experience troubles due to extreme temperatures or very strong wind. And for transportation sector, low water level can prevent barges from moving goods on rivers. Also, a big part of our business is focused on natural catastrophes such as tropical cyclones, wildfires, and earthquakes, and we provide parametric covers for them. So we will start with Boris today with the topic of agricultural risk in the face of a climate change. So we all know that climate change is a reality. It inflicts huge economic losses worldwide. Would you please tell us what are the specific climate risks related to agricultural sector?
Yes, sure. So I suppose it will come as no surprise to anyone, but we are facing major changes in our climate. So on this graph showing the difference of surface temperature between 1900 and 1960, and the 3 last decades, we can see that the world is globally warming. There are different intensity in this warming, and we can observe that the warming inland is more significant than on the sea. This evolution on the climate has very different impacts. It changes the weather convection cells, and also the atmosphere is the atmosphere transport like more and more water. And the European says that the impact on agriculture, it will impact agriculture in 4 main ways, such as changing rainfall patterns, rising temperatures, variability in seasonality, and a very large increase of extreme risk. So on this this graph provided by the Météo France, so the French Meteorological Agency, shows the evolution of climate through the last century. So we see that between 1850 and 1900, the evolution of the temperature was quite stable, and then with the emission of CO2 with the industrial era, the increase started to be more and more important. So in 2018, the world has the global temperature of the world increased by 0.82 degrees compared to the reference period, so between the 60s and the 80s.
Okay, very clear, thank you.
So on this graph, we can see that the distribution, so 0.82 degrees Celsius may not seem very frightening. However, it will have a very important impact on the extreme events. So we can see on those distribution of temperature that a minor shift of the average temperature has very huge impact. So here you have the distribution of the temperature. So in the middle you have the normal conditions. On the left side you have like the extreme events and like very low extreme events. And on the contrary, on the right side, you have the extreme hot temperature and very extreme hot temperature. So the straight line represents the normal patterns of the weather conditions that we are experiencing now, and the dashed line represents the future evolution of climate based on a global warming. So we can see that even a minor shift will have very important repercussion of probability of having extreme events, as this shift shows on this graph that there will be almost twice as much as extreme event as we are experiencing now.
Okay, very clear. We also know that there exist different climatic zones. Do impacts of climate change vary according to them?
Yes, of course. In Europe, the impact of climate change will have different repercussions depending on the area we are considering. So, for instance, in the south region, we will experience a larger number of droughts. On the Atlantic and Boreal regions in blue, we will have more events of heavy rainfall, and in the continental areas we will experience more heat waves and less rainfall during summertime.
Okay, very clear. Thank you very much. Fabien and Boris has just explained the main agricultural risks that are related to climate change. Are you able to give us a few recent examples on how crop production was impacted by climate change in Europe over the past few years?
Yes, we have numerous examples. Maybe if you go back to the year 2010, if you recall, there have been a very severe drought in Russia. Mainly south of Russia, again the Volga region, so with very low rainfall and very hot temperature during the summer. And this has had a very severe impact on the crops. For example, we can see sugar beet, where there has been a 50% drop in yield as compared to what we call the reference, i.e. The 5-year average. So a drop down to, for example, 14.2 tons per hectare. So this causes loss of up to 40 billion rubles. Another example can be, for example, in France, more recently, the year 2016. So there has been very high weather anomalies with, for example, a very wet spring with a daily rainfall of above 2.6 millimeters per day, which is very high compared to the average, and then followed by a very exceptionally warm and dry weather in June. This, for example, has led to up to 40 or even sometimes 50% drop in some region of France. Here, this is, for example, Eure-et-Loir, which is the bassin of production of France of the wheat, where you can see that there's been a very severe drop, and the loss caused by this extreme weather was up to 5 billion euro, according to some estimates. And maybe more recently, I mean, we can recall what happened last year in Germany. The year 2019 was where there's been very unusual weather patterns with very hot summer, very dry, and this has also a very severe impact on the grain production, minus 20%. So maybe you can have a look at this weather pattern. It's very unusual. You can see that the average of rain for the last 20 years in Germany was around 150 millimeters for the months, 3 months period, like June to August. And for example, in the year 2018, the rainfall, the cumulative rainfall on the 3 months period was a 46% drop. It was here 82 millimeters. So this is very unusual, and climate change now you can see occurs in various regions of Europe with different scenarios.
Okay, thank you very much. All these extreme weather events must inflict an enormous amount of economic losses all over the world. Boris, do we have any figures on that?
Yes, of course. So the loss due to weather is something that is very that is followed very carefully. So, for instance, the Food and Agriculture Organization states that there has been a huge increase of weather-related loss in the agricultural sector. So, for instance, in the 80s, the annual loss were approximately 14 billion per year. And now between 2004 and 2014, this went up to 100 billion a year. So drought is responsible of the larger part of these losses, and it's followed by floods and excess of rainfall in agriculture.
So what we can observe on these graphs that the annual economic losses related to climate risks over the last decades have nearly increased tenfold. That must largely impact the entire agribusiness industry. Fabien, would you please expand on this topic?
Yeah, we can have a look at what are the impact of the crop shortfall production. So when we think about crop shortfall, we always think about production entities. But in fact, it's not only the farmers that are impacted, it's a whole supply chain. So that starts, for example, with the input supply. So companies providing seed, fertilizer, crop protection services. In case of a bad crop, they are also impacted, let's say, as a first chain of the supply chain. Then obviously, farmers and all the producing entity will be impacted in case of bad production. That's directly their revenues. But if you have a longer view, broader view, the next chain will be the collectors, the merchants, all the people working with the logistics, collecting the grains. Those ones are also impacted by the climate change and the drop in production. And in the end, you have also all the processing entity. You can be a brewer, a crusher, a processor entity, and in the end, obviously, the end buyer. There will be an impact. That can be an increase in cost due to the diversification of the supply chain. You need to import the goods from further away. This has more cost. Sometimes you even can't find directly the supply. So this will have an impact generally on the supply chain.
Okay, and what about the insurance sector? Are there options growing for clients to protect themselves against this rising threat of climate risks?
Yes, there are many options. I mean, there is traditional insurance for a long time available for the agriculture. And what we want to focus and maybe present today is the new fashion in industry. This is what is called parametric insurance. So that's a new type of insurance, which is mainly based on big data, sensors, satellite imagery. And this is also, let's say, blockchain-based kind of insurance. So this is something very new, and I think there is an interest in the market, and maybe we can expand on that. So I think you all know what is traditional insurance, indemnity-based insurance. So you have a contract. In case of a damage, you will call your insurer. They will send a loss adjuster, assess the loss on the ground, and then offer you a compensation for the loss. Here, parametric insurance, the scheme will be totally reversed, and we'll see what are the benefits. So when I say reversed, what do I mean? Here, there will be a first phase, the phase one, where we will do a pre-loss assessment. What I mean is, depending on the climatic event, we will attach a formula that will give how much we will pay. So everything will be predetermined in advance. So you know already how much you will receive depending on what event occurs. So depending on the severity, the frequency of the events, you will know how much you will receive. So what are the advantages? That allows to, based on the data that we decide, based on the index that we will decide, to offer live monitoring. So you will know at any point in time what is the climatic situation in your country, in your field, and we can offer live monitoring. And in the case of a bad weather events, there will be automatic payouts or almost automatic payouts. So that we see at AXA 3 main advantages for that. This is adjustable, we are tailor-made solution, we are transparent, everything is based on weather data, weather patterns, public information, and this is fast. As soon as the risk period is over, we can reach the payout, usually within 15 days after the event.
Okay, very clear. Boris, as I understand, in parametric insurance policies, we can use different data sources for our indices. What are the options here?
So yes, of course, we can use a very large panel of different indices depending on the client and the risk profile of the client. So here we choose to present 4 kinds of different indices. So the first one is a meteorological index. So it's very simple and straightforward. We take a weather station or a basket of weather stations that are close to the insurable interest, and based on those weather recordings, we will build indexes such as cumulative rainfall, such as daily minimal temperature, such as cumulative degree over a threshold. And this is, so as I said, it's very simple and it will be very efficient when the climate hazard that cause damage on a given crop are very well identified. We can use also satellite-based indices such as NDVI or evapotranspiration. The advantages of this index is that it measures directly the wellness of a crop. But the problem is that sometimes when the sky is too cloudy, it's difficult to have the data, and also there is a kind of time lag between the start of the damages on the crop and the time when we are able to spot them, because we will be able to spot that the plant has died only after the damage occurred. We can use also another kind of satellite-based imagery, such as sun moisture. So this index is very well suited when we want to assess, when we want to protect our clients against drought. However, it needs to be very well adapted to the different crops, depending on the various development periods that and the different phases during which the crops are vulnerable. And then at last, we can use area yield indices. So this index is very powerful because no matter what is the damage, it can be like a single climatic peril, or like multiple weather damages, or even it can be diseases that will affect the crops. And with this kind of index, we will be able to protect our clients against a shortfall of revenues. And the only problem of using this index is that sometimes the data that we use are published sometime after the harvest is done.
Okay, very clear. So let's start with meteorological indices. As you mentioned here, we use reference weather stations close to the insured location. Do we have a client example that profited from such solutions?
Yeah, let me show you this example. For example, for a grain elevator which is based in North Dakota in the US, close to Dickinson. So there is a weather station that we can use. So just to illustrate how it works, what we need to define is what is the usual rain pattern for that area. So we define what is the reference as the 10-year average of the rain pattern during a 4-month period here, February to June. So the rainfall was approximately 9 inches, 9.09 to be precise, as you can see. And what we call the threshold is when the crop starts to suffer damage due to the lack of rain. So what we discussed with the client is when there is a 33% a third in reduction in water, the crop starts to suffer, and the full loss is reached roughly when there is a 50% drop in the rainfall. So if you recall that the reference would be 9 inches of rain, so we applied this 33% deductible, which makes like 6 inches. So we will start to pay each time the rainfall pattern during these 4 months goes below 6 inch, and the payment stop at the full loss below 4. So if you have a look, for example, at what happened in 2017, the rain pattern for the period was 3.90 inches. So it means a full payout and a full loss for the insured. And as soon as the period is over, we can pay here $5 million.
Okay, very clear. So we can see here that 2017 was quite a critical year. As you mentioned before, we start to pay out as soon as the index value drops below the threshold point. But what would actually happen if it drops below the exit point?
In fact, we consider that there is a full loss as soon as it's reached 4. So even if you go to 2 or 1 inches below, inches for the period, it means there's been a full loss. So the amount will be the same. You pay in between what we call the threshold, and it stops. The full payout is when the exit is reached.
So the client would receive 100%
yes,
of sum insured.
Exactly.
Okay, as we mentioned before, the technological advancements are at the core of our business. So Boris, what about satellite imagery? In which contracts we would use such indices defined through satellite data?
So in this example, we protected a sugarcane producer in Brazil. And so this sugarcane producer wanted the protection against frost. However, as the fields and the seeded area was very large, it was difficult to assess the damage only based on a weather station. So what we did here was a sort of hybrid index. So first we spot the frost event with a weather station. So here on this time series of the daily minimum temperature in 2000, you can see that there is a drop in temperature. There is a temperature recorded below 0 degree. So we know that there has been a frost event. However, we are not able to exactly assess how much the damage was. So that's why we use a second kind of trigger, which is the NDVI index. And so here on the left picture, you can see the NDVI picture of the fields before the frost event. And on the right, you can see the same picture after the frost event. So you can see on the left side that the fields are very green, which shows that the sugarcane is very healthy. And on the contrary, after the frost damage, you can see that a large part of the fields are yellow, which shows the damage of frost. If we come back on the structure, here the client has to be protected up to protect up to $10 million for his crop. So here with this loss assessment, we can see that 41% of the seeded area has been impacted, and as we set a trigger deductible of 10%, here in this example, the client got $30.1 million of US dollar.
Okay, and just to be clear, you mentioned deductible and so on. All the parameters are predefined in advance.
Yes, of course. And so every parameter is adjustable, and it will have an impact on the price. So of course, higher is the deductible, lower is the premium.
Okay, thank you very much. We have also mentioned before another index that is defined through satellite data, soil moisture. In which cases do we use it, and in what way does it differ from evapotranspiration or NDVI?
Yeah, let me explain to you what is soil moisture. So first of all, I will thank this data coming from Bundesat, a partner for soil moisture indexes. So here, this is an example for Niedersachsen in Germany. As you recall, there's been a severe drought in 2018.
Okay.
What is soil moisture maybe? Soil moisture, let me explain you in very simple words. This is what is the water reserve in the soil, i.e. what is the content in percentage of water in the cubic meter of soil. So there can be an excess of water and there can be a lack of water. So how does it work? Very simply, you can see there is what we call the climatology, which is the climatology is this black curve that you see. This is the 15-year average for a given date of what has been the water reserve in that soil. So if you are above the climatology, it means there is too much water in the soil. If you are below, it means there is a lack of water. So let's focus here on the red curve. You can see 2018, this red curve is far below this climatology. It means there is a very sudden change as compared to the usual pattern, and here a lack of rain. So maybe we can go to the imagery. I think it illustrates pretty well. If you go to the next slide, you can see that a usual year will be, there will be a given amount of water. If it is above, that will be the blue shape, and the red curve, the red imagery on the lower right side will show that, for example, 2018 was a very dry year. And I will not go too much into the calculation, but it means almost a full payout here for the clients in Germany.
Okay, very good. And the last option that we have is the area yield index, where we use governmental statistics that measure yield. Do we have an example for this parametric policy?
Yes, of course. So with area yield, we protect our clients against a shortfall of their revenues. So we calculate reference revenue based on a reference yield. So the reference yield is the 5-year average of the last 5 years of yield. So of course it can be changed. It can be changed if the client wants to use like a different kind of reference yield.
So it can be 7-year yield or 10-year.
Of course, or we can use Olympic averages.
Okay.
So then, when we have the reference yield, we multiply it by the seeded area and by the
Margin.
By the margin that the client wants to ensure. Thank you, Fabien. And then we use this index to calculate the shortfall in the revenue for the year that we are going to protect. And as you said earlier, we can set the deductible and the exit. So lower is the deductible, the more frequent will be the payouts, but the higher will be the premium. And on this example, you can see that the client would have get like almost a full payout in 2003 and 50% payout in 2011.
And please correct me if I'm wrong. In this particular example, we do not actually care which peril we protect against. That can be multiple. It can be hail, it can be frost. What matters is the drop in yield.
Exactly. So this is the main advantage of using this kind of index, is that we don't need to specify all the different perils that or climatic hazard that will impact the final yield of crop. We take like the portfolio of the client as a whole, and we ensure the revenue shortfall.
Okay, thank you for your explanation. Boris, you are the senior underwriter of climate risks. Are you able to give us a closer look on how we determine the pricing of our parametric insurance policies? And perhaps a popular question, are the parametric policies pricey?
So no, the price of parametric insurance is no more and no less the price of risk. In addition, of course, we had some loadings for the cost of capital and expenses. However, we really have a statistical view of the risk, which enable us to provide a fair price to our customers. So, as I said, we use historical time series to assess the risk. So the first step that we take is really to understand the time series of the risk that we are facing. So here, if we continue on the yield revenue shortfall that was presented in the slide in the previous slide, we can see that in Australia, we have a very long time series of area yield, but all the data are not always relevant, because as you can see here on this time series, you have like 3 phases. And on the third phases, you can see that the volatility of the index is very different from the 2 first phase. It can be explained by the change of weather patterns that we talked earlier, and it can be also explained by the new technologies and the new chemical inputs that are put in the field that changes the inherent risk of our clients. So in this example, we will consider only the third phase of data.
Okay.
Even when we use only the 20 last years, when we are considering yields, often we can see that there are positive trends because of chemical inputs and also new technology that are used in the field. So we take into account these positive trends to better assess the current, to readjust the past information and to better reflect the current situation. And finally, what we do is we use like a large range of different statistical distribution that we fit to the historical observation, to the empirical distribution, to better model the risk.
Thank you very much, Boris, for your technical input on this topic. I think it was very useful for our audience. And before we start to discuss the benefits of our parametric solutions, I would like to remind our audience that they are able to ask our panel the questions on the right side or below on their screens. So Fabien, you mentioned before that the options of insurance solutions are growing for clients to protect themselves from the rising threat of climate risks. What are the main benefits of parametric insurance, and in what way does it differ from conventional insurance policies?
Yeah, as mentioned earlier, we see 3 main benefits. As you understood, we don't need to have a loss assessment. Everything is based on the data, and nowadays data is very quickly available. We get daily satellite observation, we get daily measurement from weather stations that are connected to servers. So when we use parametric insurance, we can do very fast payout, very fast recovery. So there is no gap in the cash flow for the payment. That improves also the business continuity. We can pay very fast. The second positive thing about parametric insurance is what we call the transparency. Data is usually publicly available. We can use a calculation agent that can calculate the data and the payment. Everything is transparent for the clients. So we think that brings a lot of transparency and avoids any litigation. And finally, as you understood, we are tailor-made solutions. So we adapt crop by crop, region by region, and depending on the company, we adapt the structure depending on the risk appetite. So we are very flexible. This is definitely the 3 main advantages we see and 3 main benefits for clients for parametric insurance.
So as we discussed before, our parametric solutions are always tailor-made. Everything depends on the budget of our clients. So the threshold, value, exit, payout structure, it can all vary depending on your risk appetite.
Yes, we are a tailor-made solution, so we can obviously help the customers and the brokers to fine-tune the structure, but everything is to the desire of the client, depending on the budget, depending on the risk appetite.
Okay, so we can always adapt.
Yes. And maybe just a quick word on the legal contract. That's something also very important. This is kind of a financial loss solution. So as you understood, some players sometimes are not eligible to the crop protection. When you are not a producing entity, you cannot buy a crop insurance. Thanks to parametric insurance, we can protect any player in the supply chain suffering financial loss due to the production. So any player is eligible to that. As you understood, there is no loss assessment. So in terms of legal, that's a very simple contract. Everything is based on data. Everything has been pre-agreed in the beginning. And finally, there are no exclusions. Almost no exclusions. We are part of the Group AXA. We have to use the three usual ones, so the nuclear, the war, and the terrorism. And we also have a sanction wording, which is, I would say, very standard.
Yes, so we do not underwrite in countries under international sanctions. Okay, very clear. And what are the ways of purchasing parametric insurance policies? Does it need to always be a complement to traditional cover, or can it be sold separately?
We can see different options. You are a producer, you can directly cancel your indemnity-based insurance and buy parametric. So in that case, the parametric will totally replace and will stand in the place of the indemnity-based insurance. You may be, for example, a processor, you may have a PDBI policy, and part of it usually can include a non-damaged business interruption. So we can only step in and replace this NDBI and adapt it only to the crop production risk. So we will not cover in case of fire or whatever, but this will be the NDBI in case of crop production. And finally, since we are weather-related perils, we are very happy also to offer deductible buy-down, i.e. to purchase back the deductible that you may already have in the policy and offer a first parametric layer in case of weather perils.
Okay, very clear. I can imagine that we have brokers and potential clients who might be interested in receiving a first quotation from us. What is the information do we require to provide a quotation in a quick manner?
Yeah, you will see here there is a small questionnaire. Once again, the presentation will be distributed to you, so no need to write all the question right now. But basically, what we need to understand is where are the crop located, what is the time period of the risk, which is the peril you want to insure, and finally, what is your risk appetite? So, what is the deductible you may wish for the policy? So once again, we will share with you the presentation, but basically, this is the kind of information we need to offer a first quotation.
Okay, I would like to thank our panel today for this wonderful presentation. As Fabien mentioned before, you can expect an email coming from us very shortly with the presentation and replay link of our webinar. But now I would like to move on to a Q&A session and ask you the questions that are coming from our audience. The first question is coming from Switzerland. Does parametric insurance include some projections in climate change for the next 20, 50, and 100 years? What are the opportunities related to climate change that you see for the agriculture and the food industry?
So maybe I can start to answer to the first part of the question. So in the modeling part, we don't want to take into account like different kind of scenario of climate change. So actually, AXA does not provide long-term contracts. So this means that we can provide up to 3 years contract. The 3 years contract. So we really want to well understand the current situation, but we don't want to go into projections and understanding the impact of climate change on the price of the different contracts. What we know is that with climate change, our clients will face more adverse weather, and we think that nowadays people are more and more responsive to their climate risk, and so we see it as an opportunity to protect them with our parametric solutions.
Okay, thank you very much. Another question coming to us concerning, is the insured capital used per year or per occurrence?
Sorry?
Is the insured capital you use is per year or per occurrence?
Maybe I can answer this one. Once again, as we discussed earlier, this is a tailor-made approach. So, for example, we can do by occurrence. Let me take a very simple example. In case of heavy rain or very wet spring, you may have to use more fertilizer because it will be washed by the rain. So that's, for example, a single occurrence. So you can decide each time this event occurs, there is a wet spring or I have too much rain at a given timeline, I need to put more crop protection, more fertilizers. So that will be kind of a single occurrence. Another case would be, for example, for the yield, as we discussed earlier, we want to protect the revenues. So that will be hold the risk into one index, protecting generally against the total loss of revenue for a year. So that will be, in that was the case, more generally, the total capital insured that will be taken as a sum insured. So case by case, we can adapt.
Okay, our listener actually specified the question afterwards that he meant the insured limit, of course. So yes, you have just answered that. Another question concerned our area yield index. What data is used? Official statistics for a specified area or region or on an individual farm level?
So we use only statistical that come from like that come from governments or agencies, sometimes at a very regional levels. But we need a third party to certify the area yield data.
Okay, very clear, thank you. And in case of yield protection, what are the perils insured, and what are the main exclusions?
So
let's repeat.
Yeah, maybe we can clarify. There are no exclusions, but the three usual ones, which are the war, the nuclear, and the tourism. So basically, all the perils will be taken into account when we use the yield index. There are no exclusions, basically.
But if there is a crop shortfall coming due to terrorist attack, if that may happen, we do not cover against that.
That's the only three exclusions.
Okay. And do we have any experience of parametric insurance applied as micro insurance?
Yes, I mean, in fact, let's say the inception of parametric insurance was initially mainly for the developing countries. So the first cases of use of parametric insurance were mainly in Africa, in Latin America, and most of the time it was applied to support microfinance loans or to support directly local farmers and support local governments based on parametric insurance. So yes, I mean, and more, parametric insurance will be not only used for microfinance, but used also for farmers. It is true that today we mainly apply it for corporates, but we see that the development of parametric insurance will also be in the coming years, not only for microfinance, but more generally for all farmers and all players in the chain.
Okay. And regarding our yield protection insurance solution, which data is used to calculate the yields? Can we display the smallest possible regions? Is it possible for fields, for small cities, for federal states, or even for whole countries?
So I think it will really depend on the area we are looking at. So it will depend on the countries that will provide different granularity of data. So actually we are very open-minded and we are willing to study every proposal that comes to us and see what is the best data that we can use to protect the clients.
Maybe I can give you some example. If you have a look at the US, for example, the data is available by county, so which is very granular. It's not municipality, but it's very small. If you have a look at, for example, Lithuania, data can be available at the municipality level, which is a couple of dozen of farmers. And in some countries like France, the statistics is only at the regional level, at the departmental level. So it's, as mentioned earlier, case by case. But once again, the goal is not to go at the field level to avoid what we call the anti-selections and the moral hazard. I.e., the purpose of parametric is not to go on the ground to see what has been the human impact on the crop, the goal is to stay on more like macro level, weather impact, to automatize the payments and to isolate the human factor. This is the way it works.
Okay, great. Are any type of agriculture product available for such crops as coffee and cacao?
So at this date, I cannot recall that we have been working on these two crops, but I'm sure that if we take the time to study what are the main weather hazards that can impact those two crops, we will be able to provide a solution.
Yeah, maybe I can complete what you said, Boris. There has been some cases where we've been studying the impact of frost and drought for coffee, mainly in Latin America. So there have been some examples. Cocoa, I mean, as we see today, the main risk has been the disease. And usually, as you know, the main cocoa region is Africa, Ghana, and Côte d'Ivoire. And statistics has been difficult to obtain. And once again, for perennial crops, it's usually sometimes best to use weather indices. And in some countries, the quality of weather index is very poor. So we have to only rely on satellites, and satellites for perennial crops is more difficult to use. So cocoa may be slightly more difficult than coffee.
Okay, and another question coming to us is it possible to create an international program?
Yeah, I don't know who wants to answer.
Mentioned before, we are open to opportunities.
Maybe I can answer. Yes, I mean there is no limitation. I mean we can work on local policies, country by country, and we can also have a program with multiple policies, master policy and local ones to cover different crops, different perils in different regions. So we are. I mean, AXA is an international company. We are present in over 60 countries. So we have the capacity to issue multiple type of policies.
Okay, great.
We are using AXA Excel network, so we have a lot of opportunities to write with local paper.
Okay, great. Another question coming to us from Australia. Can we insure crop damage due to hail with a parametric insurance product? And can we explain in more detail how the index would work for hail protection?
Maybe I can do that. I mean, soon you will receive another invitation for another webinar specialized on hail. So yes. You will be, we'll be very pleased to extend to you the invitation. But basically, yes, I mean, hail now, we can measure it using a new type of weather station. It's a new weather station with a kind of a sphere on top of the usual rain captors and thermometers. And this sphere is full of sensors and detect the hail size, the intensity, and all parameters that enable us to cover against hail damage. So please stay tuned, and there will be we can separately send you more details on what product we offer. And as mentioned, there will be a webinar for those interested.
And are the parametric products executed as insurance policies or derivative contracts?
So at AXA, we are like an insurance company, so we provide only insurance contract. So I think at this stage we will stay with this kind of legal setup.
Okay, great. After the loss, in order to get the reimbursement, does the client demonstrate his financial loss, or is the reimbursement automatic if the threshold parameters are exceeded?
So that completes a bit what just Boris said. We are an insurance company, so you cannot make money with insurance. So usually there is a very, depending on the country, depending on the legal setup, but most of the case there is a simple form which is called a loss notification that we need to receive before we execute any payment. So it's almost automatic. We still need to receive, there's no proof of loss that we ask, there's also a loss notification. So you need to certify that the amount calculated by the index is at least what you suffered as a loss. So that's pretty simple. And once again, we don't ask for any documents. That's a certification from you.
Okay, great. We also have several questions regarding diseases. Is it possible to insure, for example, an agave crops in Mexico on all risk spaces, including plagues and insects damages?
So I think there are two ways to cover diseases. So first one is, as we said, we use area yield, and so we will cover the shortfall in area yield. So if the damages are caused by a diseases, we will provide a payout to the customer. Otherwise, we also can protect. We can also build a parametric protection based on a weather index for diseases. So, for instance, we know that after heavy rainfalls or when sometimes the weather is very hot and then followed by heavy rainfall, it will have an impact of the number or
Pest.
Or on the intensity of diseases or pests. And so if this weather condition occurs, then we will start to indemnify the client.
Another topic that is largely discussed in our Q&A session is what triggers are used in our NDVI insurance policies? What perils can be covered by this index?
So all kind of crops can be covered with NDVI. So what is very important with NDVI is that the area to protect is very large, and as you saw on the picture, we need to have really the shape of the different fields that we will protect. So this is very important to use NDVI, and then based on the protection that we are going to build, we will trigger the payout if there is a drop of a given amount between like two different pictures of NDVI.
Okay, very clear. Another interesting question coming from our audience is who determines which index shall be used in a contract?
I can maybe answer this one. In fact, we are very open. We have the expertise, as we mentioned earlier. We are active in parametric insurance for the last 5 or 6 years now. So we have seen many cases, and we have let's say the technical know-how. We have agronomists and we have specialists of the weather. So we are very happy to support you. I mean, and obviously in your company, sometimes you also have agro engineers that can help in defining what are the perils. So this is a joint, let's say, work where we are happy to assist, and we take any input from you to design the best index that reflect your peril.
Another question that comes up several times in our Q&A box regarding protection of wineries. We have a broker from Italy who asks, is it possible to use parametric solutions and apply them to wineries that are located in various regions, for example, in Italy, in Tuscany, Veneto, Puglia, etc., with different indices, and to protect the total income revenues?
Yeah, as mentioned earlier, I think we are a tailor-made solution, so we can adapt crop by crop, region by region, and I think the best would be to discuss this separately because there are many options to protect vineyards. We have, as you know, we are a French company, AXA, and we have a lot of experience with winemakers in the Bordeaux area, so please stay in touch, and we are happy to have a closer look at this request.
Great. Another question coming from Portugal. Also concerning wine industry, wine producers usually buy the grapes production from third parties. Can this also be applied to the wine producers who do not possess a vineyard?
Yeah, as we mentioned earlier, we offer financial loss cover. So this is eligible for the whole supply chain. So even if you're not directly a producing entity, but you are a processor, a winemaker, you can buy this kind of insurance. This is eligible to you.
Another question regarding what is the minimum sum insured for your parametric covers, or is it completely tailor-made?
So I think we have like two different kind of products. We have products that are already industrialized, that are like very easy for us to quote, and also to give like a binding offers. And so for this kind of products, we are ready to go to lower premiums for smaller accounts. And if we want to build a product with a client or with a broker, we will need to have larger capacity to insure justify all the work that we are putting in this project.
Maybe if we have to give numbers, I would say that the minimum, let's say, premium amount will be 30,000 euros, let's say, for the standardized solutions, and usually tailor-made approach will be more like in the 50 to 100, because it asks a lot of work for us to buy some data, to work on a dedicated solution. So usually tailor-made approach will be for larger capacity and higher risk.
Okay. We have another broker from Italy who asks a very specific question, that they have a client that produces marmalade, fruit juice and bio-nuts cream that has a lot of fields in Italy and Bulgaria. They would like to insure this fruit field from extreme weather events, as we mentioned before, and unfortunately they're not able to find an insurer for such risks. Are we as AXA Climate able to provide them with such insurance, and will we not have a problem in Bulgaria in terms of data?
So we are working with a data provider that has really a large network of weather stations. So we have weather stations all around the world, and sometimes we are also working with more local networks that have a limited range of impact. However, they will have a very dense network where they are located. So I'm very confident that we will find a data provider in every area of the world, and in the event that we cannot find satisfying data in those areas, we always can use what we call the reanalyzed data. So reanalyzed data, it's like weather parameters that are provided on a grid. So each cell of the grid has the different parameters such as temperature, daily rainfall, and so on. And so it's not satellite images. It's let's say a weather model that is run to fill the blanks between different weather stations.
Okay, great. We will soon, unfortunately, have to cut this short, but we have a few other questions left. For example, what is the resolution available for measuring droughts using soil moisture index? Will it be possible at the field level?
Yes, I mean, depending on the data source we use, but if I take, for example, Vandasat, which is the partner we are teaming in most of the regions, if I'm correct, the resolution is 100 meters by 100 meters. So if the field is that size, that it's possible to offer a field by field resolution. However, I think we have to stay pragmatic. I think it's a lot of work to do field by field. Usually, the soil moisture will be relevant for, let's say, a same city, a same department, or a county. So usually, instead of working field by field, we will work on a less granular level to make things easier, because that do not make sense to go at that precision. So usually, technically, it is feasible. In terms of work efficiency and to ease as well the index, we will work on, let's say, on a county or regional level, depending on the country, depending on the crop, depending on the type of soil. Everything has to be adapted.
Okay, thank you for this explanation, because we had another question from Germany asking whether we would be able to use the soil moisture index for such little area like 25 hectares. We just discussed that it's just not pragmatic. Can the client monitor the actual weather index conditions during the risk period?
So when we have contracts with a client, we also have a contract with a data provider who will be the certifying party, and so this data provider often offers to the client to have at least the preliminary weather data during the risk period. So it's not something that is industrialized yet, but it's something that we can put in place if the client is willing to have the information in real time.
And can the yield protection insurance solution insure against greenhouses loss together with crop production loss?
I think greenhouses, usually it's a very industrialized mode of production. You are indoor, it do not reflect the same condition as outdoor with the weather. So usually that will not very well be impacted because you control the environment as opposed to outside the greenhouse where you are subject to the weather. So usually this kind of production will not be adapted. What we can do, however, is protect against hail. I mean, if you have a greenhouse, this can be destroyed by the hailstorm, and that I think will be the main cover we can offer.
Okay, great. I see another question coming. Who can brokers contact in Italy? All the contact details will be provided to you via email, and you will see the email addresses of our panel at the end of this presentation. The last question that we will take for today, always regarding the declaration of loss from the client. To get the reimbursement, must he or she declare just that he or she has had the loss, or must it declare the exact amount of loss that was occurred in order to calculate the amount of reimbursement?
No. The only information we need is that the loss calculated as per the index, which is the one we use, is at least the amount is suffered as a loss. That's as simple as that.
Okay, thank you very much. So I guess that will be it for today. Thank you very much for such a wonderful discussion. We have seen so much interest in our Q&A box. Unfortunately, we were not able to answer all the questions, but we always invite you to contact our experts to continue the conversation. And as I mentioned before, you can also visit our website, climate.axa. In the Contact Us page, there are all the regional representatives in Italy, in Germany, in Australia, and more. You see on your screens the email addresses of our panels, from Fabien Berciot, who is a senior business developer who specializes in the agricultural sector, and Boris Roth, who is the data scientist and senior underwriter for climate risks. Please continue the conversation with us and see you next time.
Thank you. Thank you, Nadia.